Let me ask you something that might hit a little close to home. Have you ever sat in bed at 2 a.m., replaying a conversation in your head, wondering, do they like me or am I just imagining it? You analyze the way they looked at you, the way they laughed, that one text with a heart emoji, and still end up in an emotional tornado of confusion. We live in a world where connection is easier than ever, yet clarity in connection feels more distant than ever. We send 50 texts and still don't know where we stand. But here's the truth, when two people like each other it shows, and not in complicated ways. It's not a puzzle you need to decode, it's in the simplicity. It's in the energy, it's in the consistency. Today, I want to pull you out of that spiral and give you 4 signs that will silence the overthinking, because when it's mutual, you'll feel it. When you both like each other, something happens that most people overlook because they're too busy overanalyzing words or stalking social media for clues. But the real signs, they're subtle, powerful, and rooted in energy. When someone genuinely likes you, and you like them back, there's an invisible thread of connection that doesn't require constant talking, proving, or performance. It simply exists. Think about it. Have you ever been around someone and felt a sense of ease? Not the kind where you're putting on a show, but the kind where you can just be. You're not searching for the right thing to say. You're not anxious about filling silences. You're just there, and somehow that's enough. That's what it feels like when two people have a mutual spark. There's no pressure to entertain. There's no discomfort in the quiet. Even silence becomes a form of intimacy. And it's not just about silence. It's about how your presence shifts each other's mood. If you walk into a room and your energy brightens just because they're there, that's not an accident. That's alignment. It's also how they respond to your presence. Do they turn their body toward you when you speak? Do their eyes search for yours in a crowded room? Do they smile? Not the polite kind, but the kind that lingers just a second longer than it should. These aren't tricks of imagination. These are behavioral breadcrumbs that point to emotional interest. You'll also notice something else. Your authentic self begins to show up more and more around them. You laugh a little louder. Your guard lowers a little easier. And that anxious part of you starts to quiet down. Why? Because something inside you knows that it's safe to open up. And if they're mirroring that back, if they seem more playful, more relaxed, more them, it's likely because they're feeling the same energy too. When the connection is mutual, there's no push or pull. It feels balanced. You're not constantly trying to interpret mixed signals or decode cryptic texts. You're present, and so are they. That kind of emotional symmetry isn't an illusion. It's a reflection. And it's one of the clearest signs that you're not just overthinking this. You're actually experiencing it. When someone truly likes you, they don't just say they care, they show it. One of the clearest indicators of mutual interest is effort. Not forced, not performative, but consistent, intentional effort. We all have busy lives. We're juggling responsibilities, dealing with stress, and managing distractions. But when a person genuinely likes you, somehow, despite the chaos, they make time for you. And here's the key, not because they have to, but because they want to. It might not always look dramatic. Sometimes it's in the small, seemingly insignificant moments. A text during their lunch break just to say, I was thinking about you. A quick call before bed, even after a long day. A message wishing you good luck before your big meeting. These aren't grand gestures, but they are meaningful ones, because when you matter to someone, they don't need a special occasion to show it. Your importance is part of their routine, not an exception to it. And this goes both ways. If you find yourself going out of your way to check in on them, to make them smile, to be part of their day, it's not by accident. That's what mutual interest feels like. You're both investing. You're both showing up, even in the small windows of time you have, and it never feels like a burden. It feels like a choice, an easy one. You don't get excuses, you get communication. If they're unavailable, they let you know instead of disappearing. If they need space, they express it with clarity, not confusion. They don't leave you guessing whether they care. You feel it in their consistency, and more importantly, they respect your time too. They understand that you're not there to chase them or prove your worth. So they meet you halfway, every time. What's beautiful about mutual effort is that it creates momentum. The more they invest, the more you want to give, and the more you invest, the more they want to be present. It creates a rhythm, a harmony, where both people feel seen, heard, and valued, not occasionally, but consistently. This is how emotional safety is built, not through intensity, but through reliability. So if you find yourself showing up for each other, not out of obligation, but out of joy, you're not imagining things. That's one of the clearest signs you both like each other, and it's not drama, it's real. There's something incredibly intimate about being seen, not in the way that the world glances at you, but in the way someone looks a little closer, listens a little deeper, and remembers things most people forget. When two people like each other, they naturally start to tune into the details, and those small details become the blueprint for a deeper emotional connection. It's not about flashy compliments or rehearsed lines. It's about remembering the subtle things. Maybe you casually mentioned that you're allergic to strawberries, and 2 weeks later they bring you a smoothie with anything but strawberries in it. Or you joked once about how your childhood pet was a turtle named Max, and somehow in a later conversation they bring it up like it was important. That's not just memory, that's emotional attentiveness. This kind of care doesn't happen by accident. When someone likes you, they want to know you. Not just your favorite color or your go-to-coffee order, but the layers of who you are. They pay attention to how your voice shifts when you're excited. They pick up on the way you touch your necklace when you're nervous. They remember the shows you love, the places you dream of visiting, the way your face lit up when you talked about your family. And here's the thing, you do the same for them. You remember the name of their first job, or the way they love rainy weather. You start noticing their patterns, their preferences, their passions, and you bring it up, not because you're trying to impress them, but because it matters to you. Because they matter to you, this mutual attentiveness creates a foundation of connection that's real and lasting. It shows that you're not just listening to reply, you're listening to understand. It's how trust begins. Because when someone remembers the things most people forget, it tells you something important. They were present when you spoke, and presence is a powerful form of affection. So many people chase the big signs, the declarations, the dramatic moments. But real mutual interest is often found in the quiet gestures. The text that says, "I saw this and thought of you." The way they remember how you take your tea. The smile they give when you mention something they once told you in confidence. That's connection, that's care. That's how you know it's not one-sided, it's real and it's growing. One of the most telling signs that two people truly like each other is the presence of emotional safety. It's not just about butterflies, flirty texts, or physical attraction. Those things are fleeting. What lasts and what really matters is vulnerability. When someone likes you in a genuine and deep way, they don't just want to impress you. They want to reveal themselves to you. And more importantly, they want you to feel safe enough to do the same. We all walk around with layers of emotional armor built from past heartbreaks, disappointments, and fears. Most people don't let those walls down easily. But when someone starts to feel emotionally connected to you, they begin to slowly open those doors. They share stories that go beyond surface level. They tell you about their fears, their family, their failures, not for sympathy, but because they want to be known by you. And when the feeling is mutual, you find yourself doing the same. You start talking about the parts of you that you usually keep hidden, the dreams that scare you, the insecurities you try to hide, the things that shaped you. And you're not met with judgment or awkwardness. You're met with warmth, curiosity, and care. That's emotional intimacy. That's how bonds form that go deeper than anything physical. Mutual vulnerability is one of the rarest and most beautiful forms of connection. It means that you're not just a highlight reel to each other. You're real, raw, and accepted. You feel like you can show up as your full self, even on your worst day, and still be met with kindness. You're not walking on eggshells or filtering every word. You're just you, and they're just them. The amazing part is, this kind of space isn't created by chance. It's created by trust. Trust that you can be honest. Trust that you won't be laughed at or dismissed. Trust that if you share something tender, it won't be used against you later. When someone likes you deeply, they protect your vulnerability, not prey on it. And when you like them back, you naturally do the same. So, when you find yourself having those two conversations that feel like time doesn't exist, when you find yourself saying things you didn't even plan to say, and they listen like every word matter, when you both start showing your cracks instead of hiding them, that's not just connection. That's evidence that you're emotionally safe with each other. And when that happens, it's not just that you like each other, it's that you're starting to trust each other with who you really are. When we talk about attraction, most people look for fireworks, grand declarations, or dramatic shifts. But the truth is, the clearest signs that you both like each other are often quiet, consistent, and deeply human. It's not about decoding every message or second, guessing every glance. It's about tuning into what's real, the energy, the effort, the details, and the emotional safety that builds between two people who are slowly choosing each other without needing to shout it. When something is mutual, it doesn't scream, it just keeps showing up, day after day, in small but powerful ways. If you feel that your energy lights up when you're with them, and theirs with you, that's not just chemistry, that's connection. When silence becomes comfortable and presence becomes soothing, it's your emotional system telling you, hey, something here feels right. When they prioritize you even during the chaos of life, when you both make time instead of excuses, it's proof that neither of you is just passing through each other's lives. You're staying. You're building something, intentionally, piece by piece. It gets even clearer when you realize you both remember the small things, those tiny fragments of each other that most people wouldn't notice. That's how real intimacy grows, not in the spotlight, but in the quiet backstage moments. You both start to collect little truths about each other because you care. And before you know it, those little things become the reason you can't stop smiling when they're around. When two people are really into each other, they don't have to try to remember, it comes naturally, because paying attention to each other just feels right. And perhaps the most powerful sign of all is when you both feel safe enough to be fully seen. When you can drop the act, the filters, the need to impress, and just be, vulnerability becomes a gift, not a risk. Trust becomes a bridge, not a gamble. And suddenly, you're not just sharing moments. You're building something meaningful. Something based on truth, effort, attention, and trust. So if you're caught in a whirlwind of overthinking, let this remind you, when it's mutual, you won't need to constantly guess. You'll just feel it, and they will too. If this message resonated with you or brought clarity to something you've been overthinking, I'm truly grateful you spent this time with me. Your support means everything, and it's what keeps this space alive with honest, real conversations about love, connection, and self-worth. If you found value in this video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And most importantly, share it with someone who needs to hear this today. Your one small action could be the moment someone else stops doubting and starts believing in their own worth. Stay connected, stay intentional, and remember, real love isn't confusing, it's clear. Until next time, take care of your heart, trust your instincts, and keep showing up for yourself. Thank you and goodbye. And I'll see you in the next video.